You are welcome, the Executive Governor of Kogi State,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sani Theophilus Obaje. Can you please introduce yourself, your manifesto, and your presentation in a few minutes?
Good day, Nigerians. My name is Ambassador Sani Theophilus Obaje, the Executive Youth Governor of Kogi State and an aspirant for the next president under the People's Oriented Party, POP. I envision a Nigeria where there will be social justice, where things will work for everyone, where the child of no one can become somebody, where there will be equity and the rule of law will stand for everyone. I believe over the years, Nigeria has suffered so many problems, starting from every sector, and that has eaten deep into every root of the Nigerian system. When I become president, I hope to address these issues systematically to bring technocrats that could help solve all of the dwindling challenges we have in the Nigerian system as it is. And we can take cue from African countries who are doing so well in terms of different sectors we can bring those lessons from and try to review those experiences based on the Nigerian peculiar system. For my presentation, I want to speak on power today. I want to start with a little story. In 2022, during the ASU strike, I was a student then, and in the ancient city of Ibadan, I was involved in a business with my brother who is into frozen chicken. It stores frozen chicken. And if you remember that year, 2022, the national grid collapsed over 8 times. And it happened that we were not even around, we traveled, and we're thinking power was going to be stable, and everything was left in the freezer. Coming 3 days after, we lost over 500,000. And trust me, till today, my brother has not really gone out from that shock yet. It's not really easy to meet up with everything that has happened. Most of these things are not even coming from a direct investment. They could be loans and all of that. This is one among many scenarios I've witnessed, and many Nigerians want to share their testimonies to on the issue of power in Nigeria. And the issue of power, for me, is systemic. Nigeria has the capacity to generate around 12,500 megawatts of power. But unfortunately, our capacity, what we generate currently, is around 4,000 to 4,500 megawatts of power. It's not even about the generation now. It comes to the transmission and to the distribution. You generate this power, the 4,500 megawatts you're generating is not even being transmitted in that quantum. It gets reduced along the lines, and there are challenges that comes with this. We have problems with all of these things. This distribution has their own challenges. So the issue of metering, the overbilling and all of those stuff have effect on the power sector in Nigeria. In 2013, we had privatization in full force, where we had 6 generating companies and 11 distribution companies being privatized. This is 10 years after, and power has not really become any much of improvement in Nigeria. For me, when I become president, I want to take a cue from what Egypt is doing. Let me give an analogy of what is happening in African countries we have today. Ghana, with a population of 30 million, can generate 2,500 megawatts of electricity. South Africa, with a population of 50 million, can generate about 60,000 megawatts of electricity. Then Egypt, with a population of 100 million, can generate over 180,000 megawatts of electricity. In the last 5 years, Egypt were able to move their production capacity from 20,000 to around 58,000. This did not just happen overnight. It was a long-term project, with partnership with Siemens, Germany, and some European unions that came into their aid. So it was not as though the government funded all of these things. No, they had partnership. That is a direct solution to the power problem we are facing in Nigeria. That's the first one. Now, we can talk about alternative source of energy. For us in Nigeria, we have around 140 power plants. Some of these are using the natural gas, which is abundant in Nigeria. Let me quickly say this. One of the problems we have with generation is the issue of gas flaring, affecting our marine environment, causing air pollution and all of those stuff. Nigeria has abundant natural gas. It may interest you to know that the natural gas we have in Nigeria is so much that it is one of the best eco-friendly gas we have, because it has low sulfur, it has low hash, and it can sustain the environment. Going back to the SDG 7, talking about sustainability and trying to bring about power or electrifying communities. So the first challenge has been addressed by having to increase our generation to our capacity to generate power, alternative source of energy using coal. COP28 just ended in Dubai, and amongst one of those resolutions was that African countries or countries around the world should try to reduce their ability to cause emission of fossil fuels and all of those things. But I think there's a global politics to all of these things. For a country like China, China uses around 39.2 billion tons of coal for their production. Production in China is 10%. I mean, for you to produce in China, you only spend 10% when it comes to power. In Nigeria, we have 40% being used for production. So it means most Nigerian business people will even be discouraged. Businesses are folding up every day. The issue of power has a ripple effect on every sector. I think if you tackle power in Nigeria, you solve almost all the problems. Because imagine companies closing up, indirectly, people are being laid off from their job. It's affecting the whole system, and the economy keeps going down. So what I will do is try to see what Egypt did differently, try to bring sustainable or alternative source of energy, say coal. We have very, very much abundance of coal in Nigeria. We'll try to harness this thing. Another thing I'll try to do is, one of the issues we notice is the issue of vandalization. That's why we don't have enough distribution eventually, or transmission to the distribution companies. We'll try to see how we can bring surveillance equipment along our pipelines to see that whatever we generate still comes to the distributing companies, through transmission and all. So the whole system will be sanitized. And again, we notice another challenge with the fact that our politicians in Nigeria have businesses that thrive on so many things, importation of generators and all of those things. And as much as possible, they try to limit the efforts being made by government to see that power is a thing of the past. In the 1960s, we generated 1,000 megawatts of electricity. This is 2023, 60, 70 years after, and we are still generating less than 5,000. There's no significant progress if you ask me. So these are the solutions to the problems I've profiled to solving power challenge in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, the Executive Governor of Kogi State, Mr. Sani Theophilus. Do you have a question for him?
Okay, sir. If given the mandate as the next president, which source of power will you give as an urgent solution to your government?
Okay, so for me, I think I'll still go with what we have in Nigeria. We have two major sources of power in Nigeria, and what we use now is thermal energy and natural gas. We have the power plant, the Geregu power plants, using thermal energy. Then we have other power plants in Nigeria who are using natural gas. 80% of what we have in Nigeria comes from natural gas, 20% from thermal energy. So what I will do is also increase our ability to transmit. We have the capacity to generate this power. So how do we now sustain the capacity we have? The capacity is there, but we don't eventually generate the power. So I will say I will still retain what we have in Nigeria and maybe tilt a little towards solar. But I will not really buy the idea of solar because solar is not affordable to a common Nigerian. For me as a president, I feel having to go to the grassroots, meeting the yearnings of a common Nigerian should be my watchword or should be what I want to fight for. So solar is good, but it's not really affordable for now for most Nigerian homes. So I'll still sustain what we have and try to see how it can be better with the analogy I gave in my premise when I started.
Okay.
All right, the Executive Governor of Kogi State, Mr. Theophilus, under 1 minute, how do you intend tackling corruption and what approach do you intend using in the power sector?
Okay, so for me, I think corruption is systemic. Every sector of Nigeria is corrupt, unfortunately. And in tackling corruption, I think I want to bring people of like minds. As a Nigerian, I've traveled over 27 states of the country, and I can tell you for sure today that if I'm given the ability or the capacity to lead this country, I can unpick Nigerians from these different states that could help solve all of these issues. The thing is, I don't believe politics is a place to make money. Politics is where you come to serve people, you give back to the community. For we Nigerians, a politician will just wake up and say, I want to go into politics. Politics should not be like a career, if you ask me. You can be into business and want to venture into politics. You've already made up your money and you're already doing so well. So it's for you now to give back to the community. So solving corruption, ultimately, will be that I take off what we have today as the leaders, bring in people that I can vouch for, bring in people of like minds that I've worked with, and can help fight all of these things. Technocrats from every part of the country.
All right, thank you very much once more, the Executive Governor of Kogi State. We love your presentation, but I'm going to advise you, based on what we have been advising other of your fellow contestants, is to work more on your voting and also to tag your presentations to Srtv social media handles, because this is part of the criteria the judges are going to use to be able to score you. So we wish you the best, and we wish to see you in the next stage.
Thank you so much. I want to use this opportunity to reach out to my viewers to follow Srtv and keep voting. Thank you. God bless Srtv.
All right, you're welcome.